Okay. So for the people watching later on, welcome. We're going to go through Reiki 1 refresher. I've been teaching Reiki now for I think 4 years, and it's such an incredible healing modality. Some of the benefits I've heard is it can really relax you, de-stress you. It can bring a lot of peace and tranquility into your life because it changes your frequency. I've heard about the life-changing effect. So we work on the chakras. Some people do pure Reiki, which is more from the Japanese lineage. They don't look at the chakras, but I look at the chakras because my Reiki master was from an Indian lineage. So the chakras come from a Vedic background. But the chakras are basically energy centers within your body that you transmit into the world. And they are responsible for various things. We're going to look at that a bit later in this session. We heal the chakras. When we heal the chakras, you get balance in your life. There's areas that you may be stuck on. It can open up those areas. It can increase your creativity, it can de-stress you. It's very, very relaxing. Every client pretty much says to me it's very relaxing. It can bring up things to heal, but these are things that are probably not serving you. It can help with physical healing. So if you have any physical issues, we call it dis-ease. So any dis-ease, it can help with that. We can never say it cures anything because it's a complementary therapy, but I know definitely it can help a lot with physical symptoms. Again, through the years, I've had so many different types of people come to me with emotional issues, physical issues, and 9 times out of 10, if people are open to it, Reiki will help them in some way. Healing is very complex. We can never guarantee anything because the person experiencing the wound, they may have to learn a lesson. They may have come here for the karmic lesson. So we can never say with Reiki, definitely we're going to heal something. However, we can guarantee that the person will feel better. It'll open up the spiritual journey for them. So I'm curious, like who here, if you want to just use your buttons, has done Reiki before or has experienced Reiki in some form?
I've learned all 3 levels of Reiki. And it was from masters in India, but I didn't practice it, because I was going through a lot of stress and all. I mean, that's why I learned Reiki in the first place, but but because I was in such a lot of stress, I just couldn't practice it. So I'm attuned to it and all, but so
Amazing. That's so good. So that's what I did today as well. One of the reasons of having this session is to do a refresher for people who've kind of left it. And
yes, that's
people
what
are,
I've come here for, to
yeah,
use it as a
good.
refresher.
Yeah, I want to give that kind of, I'm really passionate about it. So I want to give that passion back to people because you can get caught up in life. There's a lot going on, especially post-COVID. People are, I just can't see how many events that are on at the moment. So we can get back caught up in that life circle. So sometimes, again, it's taking that time out. I call it self-love really because it's about working on yourself. So when you go back to Reiki, make sure you concentrate on yourself first, fill up the tank, and then you can help others. Because once you have that beautiful energy working with it, you'll just naturally want to share it with other people. Today, one of the reasons is to kind of reignite people as well. Reiki is very safe. I get a lot of questions about its safety. The only thing that can happen as a side effect is the worst thing is healing crisis. So if somebody has a lot of imbalances and you give quite a lot of Reiki, they can get fever or they can get a little bit under the weather because too much is coming out. So what I say to people is layer your healing. Because what it is with humans, we want everything now. We're very kind of now society because of the way things are evolving with social media. We're very much like everything has to be now. With Reiki, it's a quite progressive type of healing. So you spread it across some sessions because the body cannot handle everything coming up to heal at the same time. It's just explaining that when you have clients to say, look, you may need 6 sessions or 8 sessions to actually start to heal and make a difference. I always also find people want a longer length of time. So they want like an hour, whereas sometimes half an hour can be enough. So with Reiki, it's more progressive, gentle kind of healing. How I put it is say you have a vat of water and you have dirt, and the dirt has settled at the bottom. That's the things that we need to heal, the blockages. You're putting your hand in to get the dirt out. When you do that, the dirt's going to be stirred up. So it has to kind of come back and settle. So that's the other thing. We have to give it some time before we do another session. There's a couple of things that people think, oh, we should do Reiki for a long period of time and we should do it quickly so we can get that person healed. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. We have to do it step by step. Otherwise, we get things like healing crisis. People also have to process the things that come up. So the things that come up may be emotional. So they need a few days to kind of journal, to work through it. So these are kind of the side effects, I'd say. There may be dizziness sometimes, there may be sore throats, depending what the person is clearing, it's going to come up into their system. So you have to be careful as well. We have, again, I'll go through it. There's certain people that, if you give Reiki to, like cancer patients, COVID patients, virus patients, that you have to do it in a more gentler way. And there's a group of people that you have to be careful with, like the elderly, the young. So there is a few things that, with Reiki that we have to be careful, because we are working with the body and we're working with the energy body. It affects the physical body. Is it anything of a dark art? Sometimes I get asked that. No, you guys probably know that. That's why you logged in today. But just to clear it up, there's no darkness attached to it per se, in sense of we're always trying to do good with it. The intention is always to help somebody. Some people may have darkness when you're healing them, but that's a different story. It's just that your intention is the most important thing. We always use good intention when we do Reiki, and you can't really do harm with Reiki because the vibration of it is to do good. So everything in life is about vibration and frequency. So all these years, Reiki has been used for good. It's been infused with that energy. So if you try to use it for nefarious purposes, it just won't work, because that's not what its vibration is. So without further ado, I'm going to get my PowerPoint up. I'm sorry, my technology is a bit slow today. Here we go. I've got it all ready here. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so the people who've done Reiki, please bear with me because I'm trying to cater for both, and maybe it's a reminder for you as well. What is Reiki? Rei means universal, Ki means energy. So basically we are channeling universal energy. Energy is all around us, as I've mentioned a few times. It's starting to be proven by scientists. They're looking at the nuclei in an atom, and they're realizing that pretty much 99% of the nuclei is energy. So although everything feels so solid, our bodies, everything around us, everything is energetic. So with Reiki, we are channeling positive energy into ourselves or client. And by channeling the energy, we are trying to bring things into balance. So energy can never die. So if somebody's got an imbalance or negative energy, low vibrational energy, we are transmuting it by putting in positivity and hopefully driving out the negative energy to go back to source. So it's a very beautiful thing that we're using. There's no kind of negativity around Reiki. So as I've explained, there can be some effects depending on the person that you're healing, including yourself. So, but ultimately we're tuning in to the universal source. We do it all the time when we pray, when we wish people good vibration, we're tuning into a certain energy. So I covered that. So how was Reiki discovered? Well, healing has been around for many, many years, since the dawn of time. If you're from a Christian faith, you'll know that Jesus used to touch people and give them healing. I think Buddha used to do the same. So it's not like a new thing that's been invented. It's just Dr. Asuri, which you can see on screen, He's accredited to the system, which we call Reiki. And I'll explain how he came across it. There's, again, different timelines, depends. Back in the day, there wasn't such good communication or ways of recording information. So some people say it was mid 1800s and some say it was slightly later in the 1800s. Dr. Usui was a teacher. Again, there was some ambiguity. I was taught he was a Buddhist monk, and some people say he was a Christian monk, but he was a man of faith, basically, and he was a teacher. One day he was teaching, and one of his students asked him, "Can men heal like Jesus?" And he was a very good question. He pondered on it. He goes, "Look, I'll come back to you." And he went on a quest to answer this question. And he went, some people say he traveled a lot, went to India, to Nepal, to Tibet, and learnt all the information and brought it back to Japan. And some people say he just read books in order to do that. Whichever can be true. It's hard to travel in the 1800s, so maybe it was a combination of both. He came back with all this knowledge about chakras, about the energy body, but he didn't know how to heal still. And he's like, okay, I'm a monk. I will go back to my spiritual root. I will go up a mountain and meditate for 21 days and see if I get downloads, if I get information from source. So I went up a mountain called Koriyama, sitting there meditating for 21 days. And for 20 days, nothing has happened, just beautiful meditation. But apart from that, no information has come through. So this is a lesson in life as well. He's about to give up. He's hungry because he was doing a fast, and he just wants to go home and, have a meal and get some rest. And as he's about to give up, a storm ensues, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna kind of have to stay here now because there's a storm. And he's a little bit frightened. There's a lot of lightning and thunder. And then this bolt of lightning comes towards him. Sorry, this is by that time, the clock has changed to the 21st day. And the lightning hits him, and he's doing his prayers like, okay, it's time for me to go now. But the actual lightning bolt was an epiphany download from source. He got all the information downloaded to him about Reiki, and all the information that he then passed down. So he got the information of how to heal, or how to use Reiki, what to call it, some of the rules of Reiki. Obviously, I'll go through it. It's been adjusted as time has gone on. But the main information he received in that download. Then he decided, okay, I'm going to go down and share this. One of the things that was downloaded to him, that he had to share this with the world. So he's going down the mountain, he stubs his toe starts bleeding, and he starts to doing Reiki on himself, and the bleeding stops. So what the story is saying, as soon as you learn, there may be opportunities in your own life to start healing yourself. You can do it, use it pretty much straight away. And then he went down to a coffee bar. I don't know if they existed back in the day, but the equivalent of one. And he sat there, and there was a young girl or boy who had a toothache. And he said to them, "Can I try this healing on them?" And they knew him, so they're like, "Oh, yeah, go ahead." So the young person's tooth got healed. So he had proof pretty much on the same day that, this modality works. He was really happy with it, and he used it more of a spiritual practice as well as a healing practice, as he was a spiritual teacher. And he handed it down, to this man, Dr. Hayashi, who was actually a medical doctor, and he started to teach him in May 1925, and he started to hand down all the information that he had received. Dr. Hayashi, being of a allopathic background, added some of the science-based knowledge that he had and made it a bit more structured. So he put in the attunement, some say he put in the hand positions, which I'll show you later. So it started to shape into this Reiki that we know today. And Dr. Hayashi became famous all over Japan, and at that time there was no internet, but across the world, on people that heard about him, because he used to heal a lot of ailments. So the word went far and wide. It went to the US, where Mrs. Takata came across it. She had some ailments, including gallstones, tumors, And she wanted to try alternative rather than allopathic, and she was of a Japanese descent. So she heard about Dr. Hayashi and she flew over to Japan and she had some treatments and it made a huge difference in her life. So she learned how to do Reiki, became a Reiki master, and came back and taught people in the West. So she's also accredited as a founder of Reiki. Those three are usually come up as founders of Reiki, Dr. Usui being the main one. Some people disagree. Some people, if you read some other books, they say there was the founders were completely different, but this is what we've been taught and widely taught in Reiki circles. Whoever the founders are, we always do a gratefulness prayer because without them we wouldn't have this knowledge. But there would be something to this because obviously, even if they weren't the original founders, they definitely had a hand in spreading Reiki across the world. And now there's like hundreds and thousands of Reiki people across the world because if you teach one and then the lineage becomes bigger and bigger. And the whole point of Reiki is to spread knowledge, to spread the awareness that we are able to heal ourselves. We are able to bring ourselves back into balance. The world has really gone into, artificial ways of living, processed food, processed this, quickness of this, and stress, and Reiki is just to bring ourselves back to who we truly are, back into balance. So the more people know Reiki, the better it is. And whatever your reason for watching this or being here today, whether it's for yourself or to become a practitioner, it's definitely going to enhance your life in one way or the other because it does bring that calmness and peace into our lives. So we want to learn a bit more about the auric body. Sorry, if you're not on mute, can you just put yourself on mute? Thank you. When we heal, we're healing our chakras, but also our auric field. So around us, there's 6 feet of auric field, usually. Sometimes it can be less, depending on your condition. So if you're tired, your auric field will shrink. And if you've just meditated, your auric field will grow. At any one time, we say roughly your aura is about 6 foot around you. You can see my auric photo there. I had that done about 17 years ago, probably. You can see the colors. There's green, there's blue. And they told me at the time, I hadn't gone into healing, that I had very healing, love energy. Green is loving energy. Your aura has a lot of information. As you walk around, you're kind of interacting with other people's auric fields and frequency, emotions. So much is stored within your auric field. When we do Reiki, we're clearing a lot of that. I want to call it junk that's stored in, or negative energy that's stored around you. For instance, if you're having an angry thought, you're angry, and then you walk past somebody who's also got the same frequency of anger, you're going to stick like Velcro in terms of energy, and you're going to pick up some of the anger, and the anger is just going to grow in your frequency, and eventually it has to go somewhere because energy never dies. It comes into your physical. So emotions are really potent in healing because they get stuck within your auric field and eventually block up the energy. We call them nadis. They're like meridians, the energy pathways in your body. So we should be really aware of our auric field and what we let into our space. So who are you interacting with? What are you ingesting? What are you watching? Are you, in a space with high frequency? Is there clutter in your house? All of this affects your auric field and eventually affects your body. So it's good to be aware of our aura. The bigger the better, basically. So the more you meditate, we'll do a meditation towards the end of this session so we can expand your auric field. Let's try something fun, actually. I didn't really plan this, but I think it's nice for people to learn something practical. You can actually feel your own auric field. If you don't do it today, don't get disappointed. It does take time to learn, but you may feel it. So I want you to take your dominant hand, put it on top of your forehead, and just bring out your hand as far as it will go. Okay, now you're going to bring it back in very slowly, and you're going to try and see if you can feel like a resistance or a change of temperature or some sort of weirdness. Look, mine stops there, and that's where your field is. You can kind of feel the resistance. It may be just very subtle. It may be like a temperature change, or it may be like a weird feeling that you weren't expecting. Can everyone feel that?
No, I can't.
No? Okay, shake it off and try with your throat chakra. Go as far as you can out, and then gradually you're trying to just push through something. It feels like a barrier, or like there's something there, like a tingle, or it's very subtle.
No, I'm not getting it. Maybe I'll try later.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. As I said, sometimes it takes practice. Anybody feel it?
I did feel something.
Yeah.
Very, very subtle. I was like, oh, you know.
Yeah, it's like very, very, very subtle.
Like a repulsion, like a magnet.
That's right, right? That's a really good description. It's like a magnet repulsion. You're right. That's energy. That's your field.
No, I didn't feel anything either. No.
Okay, don't worry. As I said, I just want you to show you that it's possible to feel it, but you may not feel it today. So have a practice on your own. Be careful if you do somebody else, because you're in the energy field, then you have to wash your hands, get rid of the energy. So that's your field, and as I said, that can expand. I did pranic healing, and when we first started, it was like tiny, and then when we did a meditation, we filled the room. Apparently, people that are spiritual can fill a country with their aura. So aura is very, very powerful. It's our energy signature imprint into the world. So Reiki really works on the auric field as well as the chakras. So it's a taster, so I'm just going to go into briefly some of the topics that we cover. So the next one is about the Reiki principles. These are amazing. They can work whether you do Reiki or not. Dr. Usui taught, just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I'll be grateful for my many blessings. Just for today, I will be kind to all living creatures. The reason we put just for today is just a reminder. You should do this all the time, but it kind of brings your focus back to today. So you should do this every morning, have a kind of a checklist. I always say to my students, print it and put it on a mirror. You'll be able to find this on Google if you just put Reiki Principles. The reason he's saying you shouldn't be angry, it's a very negative emotion. It has a negative frequency. There is a place for anger, by the way, because I think emotions are there to tell you things and to teach you things. It's just you shouldn't make friends with anger and keep it with you, like carry it with you. Let the anger come in, let it teach you what it needs to teach you, because maybe you're holding on to something that isn't serving you, or maybe you should have a conversation with somebody, maybe you should feed back something to somebody. Let it teach you and then let it go, because by letting it go, you can forgive that person, forgive yourself. That's why journaling is really powerful, because you can write down some of the things that you're feeling. So you're actually putting it onto paper. Because it's a low vibration, it will basically bring your own vibration down. When we looked at the aura, it will kind of start to sink in your aura. And as I said, if you carry that emotion around you, you'll probably pick up more and more anger, and then you'll just become that emotion. You become an angry person. I will not worry. Worry, again, is very low vibrational. And when we put worry into the field, the matrix, the quantum field, we'll create more of it. With law of attraction, what we put in is what we get back. So it takes time. People get really stressed. I'm worried about this. Does that mean it's going to come into my life? It takes time to manifest something, and particularly a negative emotion. But if you keep doing it and keep doing it, that frequency will come close to you. You're manifesting that into your life. So it's hard not to worry. That's how we were built as humans. But if you can somehow kind of bring it in, look at your worry, why you're worrying, Is there something that can be done about it? Can you have more acceptance, more faith? Things like Reiki can help you with worry because you can remove that energy back to source and know that you can manipulate energy. So you are the captain of your own ship. So there is no need to worry. I do my work honestly. It kind of goes without saying. This is a high vibrational activity and we don't need to have dishonesty. So the reason we put this in as well, people come to you and will look up to you if you want to become a practitioner, and you have to work with integrity. Gratefulness, everyone knows, it's so prevalent now to be grateful, and people know how much it can raise your vibration. This was, in the 1800s. So he knew that when you are grateful, you raise your frequency. There is a scale. Some people, find it useful, and some people don't kind of believe in it so much, but it's called the Hawking scale of emotions, if anybody wants to look that up. It's basically a scale of emotions, and they talk about fear being the lower vibrational, anger, frustration, guilt, that's all lower frequency vibration. And the highest vibration is love and gratefulness. So whenever you're feeling a certain way, if you can get into gratefulness, you can change your state. And gratefulness can be practiced every day to actually stay, to set your state for the day. That's why this is important to do in the morning, because you're setting the standard for the day. So the more grateful you can be, the more you can have a better day or attract higher vibrational experiences. You can change it. You don't have to say, I will not be angry, because I feel like when you talk to the universe, you should be a bit more on the positive side. So I normally say, I'm at peace. So these are changeable. Or I will not worry. I always say things will go my way. So it's just a variation of these. These are the fundamentals of what you're trying to achieve. And then I would be kind to all living creatures. So all living creatures have the same source energy as us. This is when we talk about oneness. All plants, all animals, we should revere them. We should be grateful for their presence and treat them with respect and reverence, because they're also here to teach us many things. I was reading, I think it's Soul's Gift, which is by Robert Schwartz. It's a book about souls and why we came here, the lessons. And pets are part of our soul's contract. So they're here to teach us something. So animals are really part of being on this earth. They're not just kind of disposable, usable things. So it's good to get into that, treating everything kindly. So they're the principles that we should be living by. We learn that very early on in Reiki. And these are all the things that we kind of look at when we do the lesson. So what we just covered, I will not be angry, I will not worry, I'll be grateful for my many blessings and be kind to all creatures. The other principles of Reiki is when you do a session, this is can be a little bit controversial. People go, it's free, Reiki is free, so why do you need a reciprocation when you do it on somebody? The reason being, it's an energy, and so we're reciprocating energy. It doesn't have to be monetary. So when you give Reiki, somebody could make you a cup of tea or can give you a flower or something beautiful, a hug. It's just a reciprocation, because I think the person receiving it will be grateful, because if you give things away for free, my experience is some people are very grateful, but some people don't heal as quickly because they're not putting it, they haven't got the skin in the game, if you like. So when somebody pays for something or invests something in it, they're more likely to heal. And also there's a boundary for your energy. So if you give it for free, give it for free. There may not be a set boundary. So when you have a reciprocation, you're like, you're going to give me this, I'm going to give you this. It doesn't always have to be that way. You can heal people from a distance. So we have a healing group. We just ask the person maybe to donate something to charity. So it's always, they have to just reciprocate in some small way. You cannot harm others with Reiki. So Reiki is always done with the intention of good. And we have to have compassion with boundaries. So some people, we can't really get involved with the person's journey. So if you become a practitioner, I do like, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 people a year. I know all of them, but I can't get involved in their story because it's not my story. So I heal with compassion, but a bit like a doctor. You do that patient and then you move on to the next one, but you care about them, probably care a bit more than a doctor actually, but I do follow up on them. But after a while, it's not my story. So I have to have that detachment. And we cannot be attached to the outcome because in this day and age, we're also about KPIs, like the result at the end of it. And people, I've had this before, they're like, if I give you money, I need a result. And I understand that it's an exchange, but the result may not be how you expect it to be. So maybe they came there for, I don't know, a bad foot, but you may have helped them with something else, like period pains, which I've had before. So sometimes the thing they came for may not be ready to leave that person, but something else is. And also, Reiki is very preventative. So they may not even be aware that something's coming into their field and you remove that. So it's a tough one because if you are setting up as a practitioner, people will expect something in return. So you just have to handle and manage the expectation. We go more into it when we do Reiki too. I'll do the grounding with you later, but grounding is really important when we do Reiki and protection. So grounding is simply connecting our energy to the earth. The earth has beautiful energy, very grounding, solid energy. And the reason we do that with any spiritual endeavor is to keep ourselves in the body because we're throwing our consciousness out. When we're working with Reiki, we tend to work from the heart chakra upwards. So it's important to look after our lower chakras and make sure that we are rooted to this spot on the earth because we are in the body. So it helps us really connect with planetary energy. And covering ourselves with white light means we're not picking up anything from the person we're healing, because the person we're healing, they're removing negativity. We don't want to lodge it into our auric field. Some people don't believe in protection with Reiki. They say it just will do what it needs to do. I'm into protection because I just feel like we're not at that level yet. So a little bit of protection will always help. So we just imagine a bubble of protection where nothing negative can come in. We do this statement, nothing negative can come in, only positivity, and positivity and negativity can leave. And these protection bubbles you can do for 24 hours, so you can set your intention for them. You can do this without Reiki in the morning. If you're gonna have a day of interaction with people, it might be good to do this bubble of protection. You can wear black tourmaline as well, which is a crystal. Some people find it very, I find it too heavy for me, but if it suits you, or any black crystal can protect you from negative energy coming in. You can also sage yourself. It's a bit more South American, but you know, it doesn't matter if you mix modalities. Saging your aura can get rid of anything negative that you've picked up. I've got lots of videos and things on my social media if you want to look a bit deeper into it. I think a lot of them are on Instagram. You can say no to people as well. So when not to do Reiki is when you're sick or tired. Even on yourself, if you're sick, maybe ask a friend or somebody to do it on you because you just haven't got that energy to be able to do it. You can do it on yourself. Sometimes people do find it beneficial when they're sick to do it on themselves, but it's better to do it when you're not super sick because it's not going to really do much. So get a friend to help you, or if you're tired, don't do it on somebody else because again, you're just going to deplete yourself because you shouldn't be using your own energy. But when you're tired or sick, you may end up doing that. Or when you're tired or sick, you may keep some of the energy. So what Reiki does is you're like a funnel, conduit of energy. You're pouring the energy in. If you need the energy, it will stay with you. It won't go to anybody else. So if you're sick and tired, it may be that, you know, you're just going to keep a lot of the energy. There may not be any point in healing somebody at that point. Alcohol and drugs are not good for your field. So when you have alcohol or drugs, it tends to open up your auric field and you have no protection because it's open to anything coming in and low vibrational. So when we're doing Reiki, we're already leaving the body. Our consciousness is connecting with source, so we're leaving it a bit more open. So if you've had alcohol and hot drugs, it may be even more open. It's probably best not to do it. People feel more connected sometimes. I've heard this when they've had alcohol to Reiki, but I wouldn't advise it. When you're too attached to the outcome, it won't work, because there's so much else at play that when we manifest, we also say do not be attached too much to the outcome. It's a very kind of dichotomy, because we're trying to do something because we want something, we'll be attached to that thing, right? But it's more about let's trust the universe to take us where it needs to go. When the person is closed off to Reiki, it's no point really, because they're just going to block it. Their higher self is going to block it. So everyone has a higher self. I call it the iCloud, where we all plug in. So the iCloud is there and we're plugged into it. It's like the oversoul. And we can refuse Reiki at that level because we may want to still suffer something. We may want to learn something. So not everybody will be open to receiving it. And you need permission. So oh, I didn't even cover that, sorry, at the top. Whenever we do Reiki, unless they're your immediate family, like your mother, father, son, daughter, even siblings, you should really ask for permission. The places where we don't ask for permission is maybe if there's an accident and somebody really needs it as an emergency, or somebody is really sick. But even then, if you can get somebody who's related to them to give you permission. We have a funny story. Somebody asked us to send Boris Johnson healing when he had COVID as a group, and we were going to do it, but I was asking for permission. I know lots of people sent him without permission, and that's fine. His higher self can decide. But we didn't actually get permission in the end because nobody came back to us, and I was kind of happy that after what happened, I was like, you want to help everyone, right? But imagine like being responsible for Boris Johnson. That was quite funny. So, yeah, just try and get permission in most instances. You can give it without permission. It's not the end of the world, but the higher self will just refuse it again. So you're wasting your time. You can't really use it to influence other people's free will. So I've had people to say, can you please bring my ex back? I'd love to bring your ex back, but I can't really do it because they left maybe with their free will, so we cannot do that. Some people do offer this service, but then it's not Reiki, it's something else, and we won't go into it. But yeah, so we do not use it to influence anyone's free will. There's also instances when we have to be really careful. So if a client is pregnant, we've got to be really careful. We can give Reiki to pregnant women. It's really beautiful. I just had somebody ask me the other day, and okay, yeah, I can give it to you. You just have to dial down the intensity. When somebody's dying, their chakras are shutting off. That actually, you give Reiki, but for the different purpose, for their journey back to the astral world. You're not going to give it to heal them. And you have to be very gentle again. If they got virus or cancer, you have to change the dial again, and you have to turn it. So we normally use white light or purple light for Reiki. We have to use green light, and green is a loving, compassionate light. We have to turn down the intensity, because why virus and cancer? Because Reiki has a tendency to bring out the stuff. Remember I said about the water having dirt at the bottom, or trying to remove the dirt. So when we're doing that with cancer or virus, we can make the person sicker. Especially remember when COVID was really prevalent, we couldn't make that person sicker. We had to try and just booster that immunity, booster their auric field. So that's why we dial it down and use green energy. When somebody's really fragile, dial it down, because they may have a healing crisis if you don't. When they're elderly, you have to dial it down, because when they're elderly, their chakras have slowed down, their energy has slowed down. They can't handle as much energy being put into them. When somebody has a pacemaker, we don't touch them usually, because it can interfere with the rhythm of the pacemaker. When they have a disability, you can still do Reiki. You just have to be a little bit more cautious with it, depending on the disability. When they have a mental health issue, again, you have to be careful, because there's more complexity with that. Doesn't mean they can't have Reiki, they can. It just has to be dialed down. And if they're hugely sensitive to energy, so I have a client that I think got sick the next day, like vomited, and because she's so sensitive to the moon, to energy. So I kind of learn every time I see her, I have to do it really, really gently. Again, you want to heal that person, you want to give them everything because they're in a session, but you have to be careful. So those are the things that we have to like remember when we're doing Reiki. Hopefully, guys who've done it before, this stuff is coming back to you. So I've covered this, sorry, I think it's in the wrong place. So we talked about emotions and how they can lodge into your aura. They can also eventually come into your chakras. So all of these emotions get lodged in and become blockages. They can block your chakras from flowing. So each of the chakras, if you look at the diagram, we always concentrate on these. Actually, in Reiki, 6 chakras. We teach the ground chakra, but we don't actually heal it in Reiki. And these are the energy centers that are vibrating out of your body. If you were to see it psychically, you see them as little cones coming out of your body into your auric field. So it interacts with your aura. And then in between, there's something called nadis, which are the meridians that flow through. And it's ridiculous. We have 72,000 nadis, I believe, and we have 142 main chakras, and we concentrate on the 6 for the Reiki. So each chakra on here actually will cover most parts of the body. Usually when we learn Reiki 1, I will show you which chakra is related to what body parts. So I'm just going to cover briefly each chakra. We've got time because we're here till 11. So the root chakra is at the bottom of your spine. It's responsible for your survival, so your basic instinct. It's also keeping your karmic ties there, your ancestry. And the root chakra also keeps you in the body. So anything to do with survival, finance, shelter, fear, security, it's all to do with your root chakra. Even manifesting in abundance, because it's where we became matter. It's the first chakra that really started to establish itself as we came into the body. The color of that is red. So if you have any imbalances in your root chakra, we obviously do Reiki, but we can do grounding by going outside, by using a red crystal, something like red jasper or tiger eye. The second one is positioned, gosh, I'm just feeling it, under the belly button and lower back. It is the sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. And this chakra is responsible for your creativity and sexuality, and also stores emotions and your inner child. So if you've had some issue or trauma in your childhood, you're likely to have an imbalance in your sacral chakra. Also, if you're not showing your creativity, blocking your creativity, so you're not, people say I'm not creative, but all humans are creative. We're here to create something. It doesn't have to be in the creative thing like painting or drawing. It can be cooking, it can be gardening. It's about creation. It's about putting things back into the universe. And the color of that is orange, and you can use orange crystals to balance. You can do something creative. It's also about sexuality. A lot of cultures make sexuality so taboo. You can get blocked because sexuality is part of who we are as a human experience. Addictions also stay in the sacral chakra. So if you have an addictive personality, you could have some issues in your sacral chakra. Because the sacral chakra is also about pleasure. So it's when we grow, when we're like about just over 1 year old, we start to experience sensations and pleasure. And as we get older, we get addicted to pleasure. So that's sacral, and that's where addiction can come in. That pendulum has swung too much into the pleasure dome. We go into the yellow chakra, the sacral chakra, which is just under your belly, above your belly button, in the middle of your back, and the color is yellow, and it's called Manipura in Sanskrit, and it is in charge of your self-esteem, how you see yourself in the world, who are you in this incarnation. It is also responsible for connecting to others. So when you meet people, that's the first place you will court people. So Cords of energy is when we connect with other people. We use cords to transmit energy to others. And it's also the seat of your power. So a lot of the nadis I've been talking about, they all converge in the solar plex. So it's a very powerful seat. That's why we talk about working on your core. Like opera singers will use their core to sing. Martial artists will use their core to put power into their moves. So the solar plex is very powerful chakra. The solar plex down is said to be everything to do with this life. So the things that you're experiencing or blocking usually come from this life in the 3 chakras. Apart from the root, some of the root chakras I mentioned is ancestry and karmic ties. And above that is the heart chakra, which is in the middle of your chest. People try to go to the left, but actually it's in the middle. It's either green or pink. It is to do with your relationships. It's to do with how you connect with others, but also how you love yourself and how you love the divine. It is the bridge between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. And if you've had grief, it can block your chakra. If you have had bad relationships, or you've had bad breakups or divorce, or it can block your heart chakra. You can have a heart wall, because if you have been betrayed or let down a lot in your life, you can close off your heart chakra. Your throat chakra, Vishuddha, is here. Sorry, the heart chakra is called Anahata in Sanskrit. Vishuddha is your throat chakra. It's blue. It's in your throat, and it's responsible for communication, but also your own expression. Who are you? Are you speaking your truth? Are you communicating who you are to the world? It is very much twinned with the sacral chakra. So when you are not expressing your creativity or yourself or emotions, it will get stuck into the sacral chakra. The next one is the third eye, which is in the middle of your forehead. That is your intuition, connecting to your true self, trusting yourself. The color is indigo. And finally, above your head is the crown chakra. This is the only one that we teach that sits outside of you. So it's just above your head. There's other chakras which are not in your body that we are advanced chakras. But in Reiki, as I said, we teach the 7, but we only heal the 6. The crown chakra is responsible for your connection to divinity, for your consciousness beyond your body, the consciousness that links you to everything around you. So we tend not to touch it in Reiki because we don't want to interfere that connection with source that you have. And there's a lot to it, but there's like opening up to other dimensions, and there's certain diseases like schizophrenia that can happen when you open up too much of your crown chakra. Okay, let me keep going, and then I'll open up to some questions in a little while. So if you have questions, do note them down, and then I'll come back to you for Q&A. So we'll do a meditation and a Q&A at the end. Oh, so we talked about emotions. Sorry, I don't know why the slides have gone a bit awry. So as I talked about it before, a lot of these emotions can get really logged into your chakras, into your aura. So anger can become thick and heavy. Stress can crack your auric field, and grief can become like a sponge, picking up other people's emotions and other people's negative energy. So when we start to do Reiki, we have a process, and the process protects you because you don't want to walk around open. People go, when you talk to me, are you just reading me? Are you just telling me, tell me how my chakras are, or tell me something about me? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that, because how many people am I encountering in a day? Do I want to keep picking up their energy? No. So we do a process that protects you, it protects the person that you're healing, because the cleaner you are, the easier it is to heal somebody else. So you don't want to be interacting with somebody when your energy is not balanced or clear of negativity. You're not going to always be perfect because you're human, but the more you work on yourself, the more you can channel, I don't want to say purer energy, but maybe stronger energy. We have a process at the beginning of every Reiki. We do the grounding and the protection, then we do an opening prayer. I thank God for being here. I thank Reiki for being here. I thank myself for being here, and I thank the client for being here. The reason we're being so thankful is recognizing all the features of the session, being grateful raises our vibration, and we realize that this thing that we're doing, we're giving it reverence. We're actually respecting it. We're doing it in a set format. We should always do Reiki in a clean space, decluttered as much as possible. And if there is, sunlight or some light coming in, it should be a place of high vibrational, basically. And before you do it, you could sage the place if you have sage, or you could cleanse the space by using many things. Tibetan bowl, making noise, all of that moves energy. So try to cleanse the space before you actually start to do Reiki. And then when you end the session, you do another prayer, which is similar. You thank everyone again, but this time you also thank the lineage of Reiki, Dr. Usui. You thank your teacher. So it's a very good tradition. In many cultures, we always are very grateful for our teachers, because without them, we wouldn't have the knowledge that we have. So we always are giving them something back by thanking somebody, by being grateful to them. You're actually sending them positive energy. So this is my husband and my model. I didn't want to do it. I'm a bit shy. I'm an introvert. So I'm not going to pose for these. So he did it for me. So thank you to Prash. These are all the positions that we learn. So you'll recognize some of them. Some of them are the major chakras, like number 4 is the third eye chakra. Number 6 is the throat. So we do 26 positions, and all of these are minor chakras as well. We have chakras in our palm. That's how we transmit energy. So when we're doing Reiki, we bring the energy from source. If people like to visualize, you can visualize a white light coming in to your heart center, going through your arms and out into your palms. And that's when we do level 1, we do touch Reiki, and it's coming into our palms and into our fingers. You can see some of them he's using his palm mostly, but occasionally he's using his fingers, because it's all across the palm. That's why you use your hands to heal. So when we're doing Reiki, we go through all these positions. It might seem a lot. How am I going to learn 26 positions? But actually, I've got a video that I'm with you the whole time in the video. I talk you through it. I'll teach you on the day, but also you have a video to accompany it. So after a while, this just becomes second nature. And it's so beautiful. I still do it to this day. I don't do it every day, but I do it once in a while, because I don't need to touch now, because Reiki 2, you don't need to touch. But there's something to it. It's so beautiful when you kind of touch yourself. You're kind of giving yourself love. So this is what you would learn if you did Reiki 1, all these positions. You clear all these points. So it's quite a lot of points that you're clearing. You're clearing most of the body when you're doing this. Most of the body will affect all of the things around it. So it's very cleansing, and you normally do 21 in traditional Reiki. I normally advise 25, because that's the guideline of the UK Reiki Federation. So we end up doing 25 sessions on your own with the video, but it only takes about 26 minutes, because it's a minute per chakra. You can do 3 minutes per chakra, but that is a choice that I give people, that will last about 75 minutes, and you'll feel amazing. As you start doing it, things will come up. I normally recommend doing it every couple of days rather than every day, because if you do it every day, you might again get overwhelmed with the things that are coming up. So after doing it, a lot of people feel so amazing. I've had such good feedback with it. So if you have done Reiki, go back to doing your positions. And if you haven't, then I will do a refresher course if anybody's interested. I'm doing a course next Saturday on the 9th of October in person in North Harrow. So if this has kind of whetted your appetite, is that the right word? Then give me a shout, and you can come and learn with me. I'll go through the points I have today, but just in much more depth. Okay, what's the next slide? Yeah, I've covered all this. Oh, sorry, that's an old one. So I'm nearly finished now, so I'm going to stop the share. Let me do the Q&A and then we'll end with a meditation. I think that'd be quite nice. So let's just stop the sharing for a second and I'm going to take off. I know people are shy, so I'm going to stop the recording for the questions because I know some people do not want to be on video. So I understand, okay? So let me just stop.